Do you copy?
Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. As you can see, this is a little bit different to what I usually make. Whilst this is on my channel for the first couple of episodes, it is eventually going to be moved over to its own channel, but I wanted you guys to see it and know about it, so that's why it's on here. Welcome to the first episode in our new Stranger Things podcast, which is called Hawkins, Do You Copy? And as huge Stranger Things fans, this is literally the basis of our friendship, let's be real.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, let's be honest. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, literally. We wanted to talk about all things Stranger Things, theories, talk about the show, talk about characters, talk about all the bonus content, the books, the comic books, everything else that has happened, and share our thoughts, and hopefully you guys will like it. For those that don't know, my name is Lauren, and this is, my channel. And this is Emily, who's joining.
Yeah. Oh my.
This is the first podcast we've ever done, so please bear with us.
Bear with.
If you guys don't know what Stranger Things are, I mean, I'm sure lots of people know what Stranger Things is, but if you've never seen it, it is a show set in the 80s. It is a sci-fi show, I would say sci-fi. Set in the 80s, and it focuses on Will Byers, who is 12 years old and goes missing one night after hanging out with his friends. But it turns out that the town of Hawkins, which is where they live, there is a lot more to Hawkins than anyone originally thought of. Yeah. It goes without saying, I think, that this podcast is going to be full of spoilers.
Just a few spoilers, I think, maybe.
This episode alone is going to go into a lot of different theories, so if you haven't seen Stranger Things and you do want to watch it and it's something that you are interested in, please don't watch this, because you will just spoil everything for you.
Right from season 1 to season 3, it's all being spoiled here.
It's going to go through all seasons that are out. This is launching on July 4th, which is actually a year since season 3 was released, so I mean, I think a lot of people will be up to date with the show by now if they are huge Stranger Things fans, and we're all desperately waiting for season 4. So yeah, we're going to post every Saturday, and each month is going to have a theme. So this month is focusing on Hawkins. So this month is Welcome to Hawkins, and why Hawkins? What is Hawkins? What is everything that happens in Hawkins? So I hope you guys like it. Please, if there's anything that you want to talk about or want to discuss, leave it in the comments and share your thoughts and theories of this episode as well. So yes, let's get into it. So this episode is focusing on what is the Upside Down. So the Upside Down is an alternate dimension. Essentially, that's sort of what we know so far of Hawkins. We see that it's the same, but everything is different. The air is very toxic. You can't really survive in it. And according to the totally reliable source of the Stranger Things wiki, everything in the Upside Down is linked together by a hive mind, and that hive mind being the Mind Flayer, and the fact that there are monsters and like the Demogorgon and the Mind Flayer that can survive in there, but from what we've seen, humans don't tend to be able to do that. So it's what is that? What is actually in there? There's very little life in the Upside Down, and the life that does seem to thrive in there is not necessarily a good thing. So there are some big theories as to what the Upside Down actually is. What is it? Are we going to find out more about it? We want to know, is it everywhere? Is it all over the world? Is it just restricted to Hawkins? And what the situation is. So there are some big theories.
Yeah, because it's interesting, really, because for something that is actually such a prominent part of the show, literally the backbone, there's very little we actually know about it.
No, we don't. No, we know that it's essentially this alternate reality, I guess, but we don't know why. We don't know why it's there, or what caused it, or what.
No, exactly. All we know literally is that Elle opened the portal to it. That's really it. that we take it from. But yeah, there are some really interesting theories that have come from it. And actually, like, one that's really prominent at the moment is the idea that I actually really like this one. Just the idea that it is set in the future, after like a major event that's happened within Hawkins, like post-apocalyptic. We're talking all the big guns here. We're throwing that all out there. But
it looks like a wasteland. It looks like a wasteland. Yeah. So that makes sense. Like, it looks like absolute destruction has occurred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one that I keep hoping for, in a sense, really. Not because I want to see Hawkins just destroyed, but because it's just so interesting as a theory, and it's just, and because I think one of the big ideas surrounding it, I think we were talking about this the other day as well, the idea that it's either something more nuclear, because obviously there are some themes within the show that, especially in season 3, where we find out there's some tensions.
Yes, yeah.
That.
And I think that was actually something which in history at that time in America, there was a lot of that. So I can see why they would want to maybe go down that route, but yeah,
that's one. Or there's another one that pops up a lot, which is kind of the idea that they've kind of, I saw it mentioned that the idea that the US actually bombed Hawkins itself because of the idea of the Mind Flayer and the Demogorgon kind of taking over at some point in the near future, which is one that's really interesting to look at, I think, from that side of it.
That it is just in Hawkins, so the US government is trying to get rid of Hawkins.
Yeah. And at the moment, it also, that kind of stands the test of time, so to speak. That is one you can look at from seasons 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And think, actually, you know what, this is still something that does exist, and it could still happen. Well, to a point. Because obviously we know in season 3, obviously the Byers plus Elle have moved away to...
Elle is an honorary Byers at this point. Like, Joyce Byers is Elle's mum. I will not take any...
No, there is no
theory.
It's set in stone now.
But they move, obviously. So, like you were saying, so they move. So, what's going to happen with that? Are they going to be back at some point? Are they going to return? What are those like links? Will they go and then you can the upside down grow too?
Yeah.
Is it just in Hawkins or?
Yeah, exactly. So it goes into kind of another theory that we'll touch on a little bit later anyway, but kind of like the idea of, if there is something that follows, say, Elle or Will, for example, are we then going to have the upside down in this location that we don't know the move to yet? Has it been confirmed?
No, but it's Utah.
Well, I was dodging the subject, but we're not going to go into it just in case.
No, the High School Musical is an inspiration for the show, for season 4, and the only thing I can think of for that is that they've moved to Utah.
Yeah, they've gone over there.
Because I don't know how High School Musical would be a theme otherwise.
Yeah, I mean,
but they're just gonna rock up, like Elle is gonna start school and it's gonna be at East High. Just watch.
Will was never a basketball player, conflicted. Does he go musical theatre? Does he do the school musical? Please don't do that. Don't.
That would be so funny. No, Utah. Is it going to be the well, that's where I think they're going anyway, because I don't know how else it would be. So is the upside down going to follow them to there then, or, as you said, is it just restricted to Hawkins? And I think that's something that obviously we can't know, so to speak, but we have been told with the promo stuff we're not in Hawkins anymore. And of course that first shot that came up when season 4 was revealed, when it was very much the upside down. Yeah. And also there is that Hopper is in Russia, and they do open the gate, or they do try to open the gate in Russia. They're really trying to do that, but they do then end up in Hawkins. There are lots of Russian people that end up in Hawkins. So then I wonder, could they not open it in Russia because it is tied to Hawkins? Because that really interests me that they had that situation where they obviously were trying to open it there, but then they couldn't, so they do actually end up in Hawkins. So obviously Hawkins does have some kind of importance to the fact that it can be open, whether or not it's because that's where the original gate was or something like that, I don't know. But I do find it interesting that they did actually end up going to Hawkins to do everything.
Yeah, that's something that's quite interesting actually, because I think obviously in the was it post credits? It wasn't post credit. Well, it was just before the credits started appearing for at the end of season 3.
Yeah,
we see the Demogorgon. Well, it turns into a Demogorgon, doesn't it? I think we see a Demogorgon that grows up into it. We don't see a portal there, do we?
No,
I think we
so.
do. Yeah, but as you said, that we do see kind of, I can't remember what episode it is, but it's when the Scoops Troop are all still in like the Russian base underneath. We see that there, don't we?
Yeah.
And obviously like the metal stick, I don't know what to call it. You know, like the
I don't want to say probe, but it's kind of like probe.
Kind of, which to me suggests then, have they, as you said, have they opened it in Hawkins then, got the creature from there and then taken them across? But obviously there is a massive time gap. Yeah. So we don't really know. But that gate, I think, not the gate, the cage is kind of a really prominent image for us to see. Yeah. And I know we meant to kind of like see that almost as foreshadowing. But it'd be interesting to know if, as you said, they couldn't open a gate there then, and they've had to transport that creature across.
I just don't know why you would come to Hawkins.
No.
Why you would have to come to Hawkins. But then so much, obviously a lot of it is government based, which ties into the next episode, so I won't go too much into it. But at Secret Cinema, which was something that both me and Emily were really lucky to be able to get tickets for and go to last year, it was really good because there was a lot of information that we were given at Secret Cinema, and without going into too many things and spoiling too many things, there was information that suggested that the mayor of Hawkins knew about what Brenner was doing a long time before anyone else in Hawkins knew what the lab was doing. And so obviously the mayor is then involved with the mall opening, and he knows that the people that are buying the mall are there for reasons that are not to open a mall. They just want like a shell essentially, so that they can go in and they can open the gate and have this stuff. So I think that's really interesting to think about different governments and different people that are involved with it, and is there something a lot bigger about this upside down that they all know that we don't know yet, because the mayor seems to have been involved for a very long time. And
it should be said about Secret Cinema though, just as a disclaimer. It's one of those things that obviously all information, but we should also take it with a bit of a grain of salt as well, because it was, it was approved by Netflix, but we don't know proper links. But
the exact details,
then that's something actually is really interesting then, that all this has been kind of going underneath. But as you said, we will go into this
next episode. Yes. But that also ties in to the fact that a lot of the bonus things that have been happening, like Secret Cinema and the books and the comic books, they have been allowed to focus on lots of different things, but not number one.
Yes.
And because of this upside down and things that are happening, I have a huge theory that the Demogorgon is number one, and the Demogorgon was actually a human.
I really like this as well, actually. I think actually looking at the creature and how it is very humanoid, actually, that there's, I think it's one of those ones, it's annoyingly, it's very prominent season 1, and if season 2 didn't happen, then I think there'd be a bit more there. But actually I think you can't kind of deny the fact that there has to be some kind of link here.
They look human-like, and I think, what if they are like the head kind of looks like a flower.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if the very first person, the very first number that went into the upside down, that found this, that was able to open this gate, whether they went in there and got stuck in there, because we obviously know that humans do not survive very long in there. But I wonder if the longer you're in there, you can evolve, and that you don't necessarily like die, but you can turn. Are we going to see a Demogorgon come back at some point, which is Barb?
Oh,
that is a Demogorgon.
Yeah.
And you end up in there, and because the things sort of start to cover your face and stuff, does that turn you into some kind of monster of the upside down?
Actually, I just thought that as well, that obviously they're kind of used as almost like this kind of really crude, but a breeding centre. Because I mean, that Will obviously had the tube, so to speak, put down his mouth, and then was coughing up, literally, think about it, baby Demogorgons.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
So is that kind of, that's how they've had to adapt. And it's interesting they've had to kind of, obviously, because I know there was the egg originally, which I believe now is kind of been dismissed. There was the idea that they came from an egg first, or that kind of the idea that that's what it is. So it's very interesting they have to use a human to spread itself.
Live.
Really.
And to have that, and obviously the mind flayer to become a physical entity in season 3 is killing humans, so that the humans will become part of the army, the flayed. I wouldn't be surprised if the first ever Demogorgon actually turned out to have been a human at some point.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
And I quite like that idea, and I definitely think that, as well as we do know that it obviously is some kind of other dimension, because it is a complete reflection of Hawkins, and we know that there's definitely something more to it, and definitely something that we aren't being told yet, which I think is interesting.
How do you think it was created then, in that sense? Because there's a couple of theories.
There is a couple of theories. I really like these, actually. I think these are pretty solid. There's obviously the L theory and the will theory, which I'm quite partial to.
I do enjoy that very much, because I mean, obviously we look at it from a standpoint, and I think we said this at the beginning as well, it kind of feels like it's almost quite obvious that Elle created, in a sense, when she opened the gates.
Because she did open it, and she knows that, and she did open it, but it's, did she just open it, or did she actually end up creating something as well?
Because fitting with the idea, jumping back to the idea of it being kind of the future, there's also the idea that did actually Elle create kind of like this rift in space-time? That
there's some kind of error in the continuum, that, because we know that her power is so, it is telekinesis, but it's not just that, is it? She's got something else that's there which we don't entirely know yet. I don't actually think we know the extent of Elle's powers.
No, especially since now it seems they're gone at the moment.
But then it's interesting that it took the mind flayer almost like not injecting a part of himself, but it was a part of the mind flayer went into her leg, and then her powers stopped. So they can, she's so linked to the upside down that they control her powers, and they control what she can do, because nothing else was able to stop them other than the mind flayer. But it took a part of the mind flayer, because obviously it's in her leg.
Because mind flayer Billy she said, no, not she, sorry, he says something to her when she's trying to figure out his I can't remember what was doing, when is she diving into his mind, and then she ends up in the cabin alone with him. He says something about that we created all of this for you, and we've done this for you to find you, which suggests there really is some kind of link.
Like they see Elle as their sort of leader, in a sense. I don't know if leader is the best word, but I think that it's interesting, because I think the Mind Flayer knows that Elle is involved, definitely, and they are aware that she's got something a little bit more.
Because I believed in I can't remember if it's the Duffers for this, but someone, I think it might actually be in the book that they released, the companion guide, about the idea that when she was closing the gate at the end of season 2, that the Mind Flayer had clocked her. Then there was like, we've got that link now. So is this a case of it was in that moment it happened, or, as we kind of been saying, has this been this thing that it's kind of been really long standing, has been carried back quite a while, actually?
What I find really interesting, and I know that take you with the books as well, you can take those with a pinch of salt, because some of there were some conflicting things with the books and Secret Cinema. There was some information which they like crossed a little bit. But there are a lot of numbers. Yeah. There's twins, and I've always said I wanted there to be twins. Yeah. There are twins, 9.5. Which I adore, which is really interesting. But I think why, out of all of them, of all these numbers that he's got that were in the lab at the same time as Elle, like we even knew that Carly was in the lab at the same time as Elle. That's show canon content that they were there together. Yeah. Why Elle? Yeah. Why was she his focus? Yeah. Why was she so much of his focus that she's the one that's doing so much? Why her? And that's what I always find interesting, is there were so many other ones. And how did Carly get out? And were able to get out without being looked for? Whereas Elle is they want her. They don't want her to go at all. There's such an emphasis on her, and there's such an emphasis on needing to keep her. That makes me think that she had more to do with everything, not consciously and not by choice. I don't think she ever wanted to do any of it by choice, but I mean, there is actually a theory that she's been working for him the whole time.
I low-key like that theory.
I think that it would be an absolute flip the switch situation if it turned out that she's like, this whole time I've just wanted to, like...
It'd be one of those moments where I would both be entirely surprised and also not at exactly the same time.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that is the case, but there is that theory. But I think that there's so much emphasis on her, and Brenna had so much emphasis on her, that I think is very interesting. Yeah.
It's something that obviously we're going to talk about at a later time anyway, so I don't want to go into it too much, but I believe it's in the Suspicious Minds novel. I can't remember her name. Is it Alice? Yes. The girl when, I can't remember, is it the electroshock stuff that she has that done, and didn't she actually see the Upside Down and Elle being there, and I think the Demogorgon as well. So obviously this could be a thing where they've been writing it, they're very much like, well, Elle's an important figure, let's slot her into it. Or it could be
the future. Yeah. It ties into the future thing, that Elle is there because it's part of the future.
Yeah. I can't say enough how much I enjoy the future theory, and I feel like I've made that very clear. I very much enjoy the future theory.
I mean, we tried to find yesterday where they said that Back to the Future was a inspiration for season 4, and we weren't able to find it, but I'm sure that at some point they said that one of the key movies that inspired season 4 and the writing of season 4 was Back to the Future.
Yeah, I don't know if it was on their when they did the Video Store Fridays. I don't know if it was one of the really early ones.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I think it was definitely said, and I think that's obviously something. We also said that The Matrix and Into the Spider-Verse are two big themes for season 4. So on the Stranger Writers Twitter, they posted a huge, I'll link it in the description, but they posted a huge board poster thing of all the movie inspirations for season 4. That's where we saw that High School Musical is one of them, which makes me think that they are moving to Utah. But Into the Spider-Verse and The Matrix are both ones that are on there, which I think is really interesting and definitely shows that there's some kind of multiverse or space-time continuum situation going on, some kind of rift in the way that the universe is, because obviously, without getting too scientific, the way that a parallel universe would have to work is, it's not that it's like it runs alongside sort of thing, and you'd have to, it's quite tricky to do it. Like, think
not gonna have a show, but Dark explains it very well.
But also time travel as well is an interesting theory, because in order to time travel, you'd have to, if you were going to time travel somewhere, you'd have to time travel to a point in time in which either there would be the alternate universe theory, so that you could travel to an alternate universe because you'd be able to have that rift and you'd be able to have that hole necessarily that's in multiverses, and you'd be able to do that. But if the multiverse theory isn't right and we don't have a multiverse, in order to time travel, you wouldn't be, if you built a time machine or some kind of device, you wouldn't be able to time travel back to a time before time travel existed.
I was actually reading this yesterday when I was looking up a few of the theories and stuff, and it's really annoying. I can't remember. They said there was a kind of time travel that could possibly exist. I can't remember if it was causal, or I'm getting that wrong, the name's wrong, but it was that kind of idea that it kind of fits with the idea that you wouldn't be able to necessarily.
No, because if I invented time travel today, not that I would, because I'm not a chance, but if I invented time travel today, I wouldn't be able to time travel back to yesterday, because yesterday time travel didn't exist, so there's nothing there to receive me. Yeah. Whereas if a multiverse exists, if parallel universes exist, they're always existing, so I could jump to one. Yeah. It's more of like a space jump rather than like a... Yeah. Does that make sense? So I think that Into the Spider-Verse is quite an interesting one to have as a theory, and same with The Matrix, because that suggests more of a multiverse, parallel universe, different dimension sort of situation, compared to it just being the future. If that makes sense, which is really interesting. There is also the theory that Elle was not the one that created it, but Will was the one that created it. And I adore this theory, and I adore this particular part of the theory. Not that I adore what possibly happened, but I do think that it's quite believable and it would be quite interesting. And obviously Lonnie Byers is a trash bag, and we are not here for Lonnie Byers. However, there is the theory that Lonnie was somehow involved with the lab to get money, and he ended up getting Will involved somehow, or taking Will and doing something when Will was young enough to not properly remember, or there was a way that they were able to make Will forget. Obviously Joyce wouldn't have known about it, because Joyce wouldn't have allowed it, because she's Joyce, and we love Joyce Byers in this house. But if they did that, that would be really interesting, because Will obviously can draw, and Will draws a lot, so that there's the theory that Will created it from his drawings and was able to bring those drawings to life, which I think is a very interesting theory, and I would adore if it was true.
I am also very much here for this theory. Yeah. I am, people won't know, but I am quite a big fan of Will Byers and defense of Will Byers in everything he does. So yeah, I find it really interesting. There's also, it kind of ties into the idea of, obviously we won't go into it too much again, that he could possibly be number one.
Yeah, which I think is really interesting. If we're not allowed to even suggest, or if no one that makes any bonus content is not allowed to even suggest or talk about number one, I think it's really interesting that there's been such a taboo that's been put on that. And then it makes me think that we're going to know them at some point. Yeah. Which excites me very much.
Yeah. Because what I really enjoy about the idea that Will has created this, and that I have spread this on Reddit and I've been trying to find who has said it, but it's one of those ones that has stuck with me forever. And if I find out where the post is, will link it.
Everything we speak about, any links to anything that we have that has stemmed from other things that have been discussed will all be in the description.
Yeah, there was kind of the idea that this might be addressed at a later time, so I'm going to do it lightly. The idea that Will is the mind player, and for the Upside Down to exist, he had to enter the Upside Down for this to happen. And so all of this, and as you said, kind of fits with the idea of time travel and parallel worlds. And so essentially, to perpetuate himself, I guess, he has had to take himself into the Upside Down, be overtaken by the Mind Flayer, which then leads to the fact that the Mind Flayer can then go back and take over Wabias, and it will constantly exist. And that's why there's this hive mind, because it's all connected. And
it also links to the idea that everything is D&D themed, because Will plays a lot of D&D, so that it is the Demogorgon and it is the Mind Flayer, because he has drawn them and he has created them, and that's why those are the character, not characters, but that's why those are sort of what's there. Will is also the only person that has been able to survive in the Upside Down. He was there for a week. Barb died pretty immediately. Will survived. Hopper was down there for a couple of hours, and if Joyce and Bob, we love Bob, hadn't come and saved him, he would have also died very quickly. So the fact that Will was able to live in the Upside Down for a week and live is very interesting and very different from lots of other things. And but then also so was Elle. She got herself out, but she was in the Upside Down for a bit.
Exactly. And going back to kind of the idea of D&D actually really quickly, I believe I spoke about this with you, that originally I had this kind of idea that somehow Mike was involved, and that because the campaigns he was writing would lay out the show, and that could be just a clever plot tool. You know, it could be one of those things. But what's interesting, actually, if we look at season 3 and the campaign that Will writes before everything went wrong for him, the campaign is making up actually fits really almost exactly with the idea of actually the Mind Flayer and the army coming across and taking over all the people and all that kind of stuff going on. So the campaigns are all fitting almost exactly to the stories of the show.
Yeah. Do we think that Will is aware right now? Because if he's not, why?
To be really flowery about it, that it might be a case of he is starting to become aware but almost isn't allowed to be aware yet, because obviously in season 3 he has that connection with the Mind Flayer now, and he can sense when the Mind Flayer is near. And
unless it's a parallel Will.
That's interesting, especially if we look at multiverse, because could we then argue that actually season 2 then, that you could say there was a time that maybe the gate didn't close, Will was completely taken over.
Yeah.
We can look at it for that angle. And that's why the Mind Flayer has taken new host.
See, I really like that concept. I really like that if there is some kind of multiverse, that there is there are different versions of the character, you know, because if there's a different version of Hawkins, then why wouldn't there be different versions of the characters? So maybe the Mind Flayer is parallel universe Will.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so connected to Will.
Yeah.
Because it wants to try and it recognizes him as being himself, but a different version of himself.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But it's interesting that you say about Mike being involved, because there is Holly Wheeler is very aware of the Upside Down.
Yes.
Which is subtle, but in every season.
Yeah. Especially in season 3, I think, when they're on the phone and she's looking and she can see the Mind Flayer moving.
Yeah.
I don't think she outright calls it that, but she knows.
She's moving, but she can see it. And obviously in season 1, she sees the whole wall. She goes to the buyer's house and she goes off and she sees the whole wall come out and that Demogorgon is in there. And she knows and she can see it. Yeah. And that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because why?
Yeah. Because if Joyce didn't enter that room at that moment, would she have just been taken then?
Exactly. But then why does it go for certain people? Why did it come for Barb?
Yeah.
And no one else, not Nancy or Steve or Jonathan. No. Why Will? I think because Will is more connected than we think. And I wonder if that's why Lonnie got so defensive when he came back.
Yeah. I think there is more to Will than they're letting on.
Yes.
And I would very much like it to be explored in season 4, please. Yes. Because there are a lot of parallels, which I think we're going to talk about once again at a later time.
Yeah.
But there are so many parallels between Elle and Will, and I think that'd be something really interesting to actually properly go into.
Yeah.
Because it's a project I'm most passionate about.
No, I definitely think so. And I think it's really interesting. But there is, if Will was the one that created it, if Will is there's a parallel universe Will, or Elle was the one that created it, then it comes to the concept of, is the only way to actually fully destroy it is to go back and stop it from happening in the first place.
Yeah.
At which point that means a lot of bad things for a lot of people, because
a lot of people will be affected.
Mm-hmm.
Put it lightly. But I think it's one of the things that at the moment I can't see any other ending apart from that right now, that it will be someone has to die to stop this from happening, because that connection is so strong that, especially if we believe that either Elle or Will has created this, as you said, it will then follow them to Utah. Yeah.
We think we've got it out of Will, but he's still got that connection to it. He still knows when the Mind Flayer is near. He still knows what's happening. And we say the Mind Flayer died in season 3, but what's going to happen in 4? I'm very interested to see if there will be a problem in Hawkins, and that's why they will go back to Hawkins, or if there'll be a problem in wherever they've moved to. Whether or not, because I remember watching an interview with the Duffers and they said we want to get out of Hawkins because there's only so much you can do in a town that's as small as Hawkins. So it makes me wonder, is it going to have followed Will and Elle, and then in wherever they moved to, Utah? Just so everyone knows, it's not confirmed that it's that at all. I have seen High School Musical as a theme, and I just adore the idea of Will and Elle going to a school that's near East High.
We've just jumped on it.
It's like fanon for us at this point. So wherever they move to, is it going to follow them? Because I also think that Joyce is a lot more susceptible to the Upside Down than is brought up. The fact that she was able for the lights and to know that Will was still there is very interesting, because she was quite aware. And that I find it quite fascinating. But then
what's interesting about the lights as well, actually, and once again, we'll go into another time. In the Will, I feel like let's just call the episode that at another time.
Yeah.
That in the comics, especially, Will knows he can communicate with the lights, or it's suggested that he doesn't almost give it a second thought. It's just I'm going to communicate with my mum through the lights.
So has he done it before? Is it something, was he in the Upside Down at some point that he just doesn't remember? Did Lonnie do something and he was just so young that he doesn't really remember it, but the instincts that he has are still there? Like, Lonnie is not good. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Lonnie was involved with some shady stuff.
Especially since the comics seem to also suggest that Will sent himself there.
Was Will having dreams or something that were actually real? So in the dream he's doing it, and then that starts to become maybe he did create the world. Maybe he did draw this world, but it actually ended up becoming something that was a lot more real.
Yeah, because I'm sure there was something with one of the pictures he's drawn as well. And no, that's what it was. It's in season 3. I can't remember if Will's drawn it or if it's Elle. I think it's Will's drawn it. And there's the prisoner in the bars, isn't there? And it's got, hasn't it got like the prisoner code or something on it, which matches what Hopper has?
Yeah.
Which to me suggests then there's kind of some idea of what's happening.
Yeah.
And as I said, it could be a foreshadowing thing that we just look at and then we watch after and go, oh my gosh, that's the thing that was there. Or it could be, if we're deep diving into it, some kind of deeper connection to something that's going on. But we only see when we look, say, at the end of season 5 and go, I can't believe this was here the entire time.
And we just completely missed it. Yeah, well, it suggests that he knows a lot more, but then again, like, it could be that he is connected mentally to another version of himself, and then he's acting on what they've said or what they've done, but it's in his subconscious, so he's not consciously aware of what it means when he draws it, but he draws it, and that, maybe he does have some link to a alternate version of himself, and that he gets told things, but he's not fully aware of his consciousness when he, like some kind of trance when he's. It always makes me think of, and I hate that this is what it makes me think of, but it makes me think of that scene in Twilight when Alice has the vision of the ballet studio and she starts scribbling, but in like a trance. I hate that that's what comes into my head. I haven't watched that film in about 8 years. But you know what I mean? Maybe he's in some kind of daze or something when he draws them, and he doesn't, and then when he comes out of it, he doesn't know what drawn. Maybe he's been possessed in those moments.
Yeah, I really enjoy that we see one thing of just the Spider-Verse is a movie, and now we're just like, yes, we've got parallel Will. All this.
Well, like, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it ends up being. The Matrix is involved, and then also 28 Days Later is another key thing, which suggests that, which goes to the theory that Hawkins has been destroyed, and this is a post-apocalyptic or a zombified place. The Demogorgons, they kind of have zombie-like tendencies, I guess.
I mean, they're not. I mean, if they're controlled by something, they're never truly.
But they are aware.
You know what I mean?
They are aware, I think, and they're a lot cleverer.
They act on animal instinct rather than actually kind of being able to you know what I mean. I can't think of the word in my head. That if they sense blood and they go for it rather than think I'm gonna stalk down this thing necessarily.
Whereas the Mind Flayer is a lot more thoughtful.
Yeah, is very aware of how everything's tying together and is very clever, especially with, for example, if we look at, it's in season 2. It's one thing that I like to suggest is the idea that Mike's unknowingly suggested the idea of acting as a spy for the Mind Flayer to Will when they're having that conversation.
Maybe he is a spy.
Yeah, because it's the idea that he mentioned says that, oh, maybe you can spy on the Mind Flayer, then you can act as that. And then later on, we see a few episodes later when Will's then in the hospital, when it's like he's actually spying on everyone else and's got this idea that he's tricking people to go into the tunnels underneath because of what's been said. So I really like that kind of idea that he's as I said, that he's taken his idea, I can play this into my own favor. Yeah,
which is interesting. It's a lot, which then does make me think that it's a lot more consciously aware than the Mind Flayer is, which is makes me think that there is some sort of evolution of human.
I mean, he's able to, I say he because the only character possessed at the moment is men, actually, so to speak.
Which is a point, actually. Well, aside from like Mrs. Driscoll and stuff,
But then
it wasn't the same as the way Will and Billy were possessed, I guess.
No. Yeah, because even in season 3, it's been able to hide. I mean, to a point that Will says about how you're not going to be able to hide properly because of the temperatures and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But he'd be able to hide almost in plain sight, go to meals with families.
Yeah.
And do that until it suits them to then go,
right,
yeah, I've got you under my control now. So it's able to hide in that way. So it kind of knows exactly what's going on. Even that conversation between Billy and Elle.
Bill.
I was meant to say Elle and got it mixed up in my head. There's too many
for Billy Hargrove.
Too many L's in this. That even he's been able to have a conversation with Elle and just kind of figure out who they are and be like, oh well, hi Elle, nice to know you're here, that kind of thing. As soon as he hears and recognizes that face, it's like, okay, I've got you now, and figuring it out that way.
I will just say, this is not related to that, but Dacre Montgomery did a fantastic job at having the two different ways that he portrayed that. That was fantastic. But I think that's really good. Like it shows that it is more aware than the Demogorgons are, which that's why it makes me think that it did stem from some kind of consciousness. Because what would it come from? Yeah. Is it like an alien-like thing? Is it that there's different things on this world that we don't know about that have come through this gate? But then the fact that the gate looks like a tear is what makes me think that there's some kind of rift and that they've come from some kind of other universe or some kind of parallel universe. Or maybe season 5 will end back to 12-year-old Mike, Will, Lucas and Justin playing D&D and rolling a 7 so that he can't fireball him, and it will have been all a dream. You
joke, but this is my biggest fear. It's going to wake up.
That isn't an Upside Down because it was just made up by 4 12-year-olds.
Yeah. Part of me would also be so mad.
I'd hate it.
Yeah, I hate everything about it, but also I love the idea that they filmed the scene back and then Noah, Finn, Gaten and Caleb all had to keep this secret for years.
The whole time. Yeah, that would be so funny. That would be so funny. No, I am leaning towards the multiverse theory.
Yeah.
I reckon there's some kind of other universes that this tear in this gate was actually some kind of portal into lots of other worlds and other versions of people that we know, and that, and I think Murray is aware of a lot more as well. I think he's done a lot of research.
I think there's stuff to him that we're going to see later on. I mean, obviously with the phone call, not really related to the Upside Down conversation, but the phone call that was kind of like a teaser between what's going to happen in season 4, like the voicemail message. So we know
he knows more. He knows more than he lets on. But I think it would be quite interesting for there to be a parallel, like other characters that are parallel versions of the characters we know.
It's one of those things that's very tricky to do, and if they pull it off, they get my full commitment. Is that the word? I don't think that's the word.
But I think parallel universes is easier to do than time travel.
Time travel is messy.
Very
messy. I think it's something that it can work. I think it will have to very much be dealt with in season 4, which I know they'll have to, because I think this is the penultimate season. I think we're presuming anyway this is the penultimate season.
It's suggested that this is the penultimate season.
Yeah. So it will have to be
more than 5.
No. It will have to be dealt with very carefully.
Yeah.
In the season, I think. It can work. I think if you go with something like the Upside Down being the future, it's not too bad to do. I think if you start dealing with the ideas of for people that haven't seen the season 4 thing, but I imagine you've seen it, where Hopper is in Russia and he's
Hopper goes to Russia, guys.
Yeah, he's working on the rail tracks or something.
He's not dead.
Yeah, if you deal kind of with the idea of he's somehow there but he's dead, and if you deal with it that way, it's going to be messy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If there's other universes and different versions, is this a different Hopper?
Yeah,
no, Hopper is dead, but this is a different Hopper.
Yeah,
which I don't know if I like that concept of, because it does become messy. I think it needs to be done well, but then I do also think that they know what they're doing, and I think they've known what they were doing since the beginning.
Yeah, I have my trust.
Yeah,
I think.
But yeah, no, I reckon there's some kind of like multiverse, and I mean, I know we know it's an alternate dimension, but I think that there's a wider scope of the multiverse, and I wonder if the people with their powers and stuff are able to have come from, some of them have come from different ways as well, different places and stuff.
Yeah, because it's never really explained how they're getting them. So I mean, we know how Els got them, but we don't know why some people are susceptible to it with other means. But yeah, I
mean, MK Ultra, but
yeah, for another time.
Yes. But then there's lots of questions about why MK Ultra was actually a thing, and shady government MK Ultra business.
Yeah. You know, just standard.
Something it's always interested me, actually. Like it's a bit mad that was ever actually a thing, but not what that does not answer the question of the Upside Down. I'm going with multiverse. I'm also going with Will or El accidentally opened it or created it. I think Will is definitely a lot more involved than we are aware of, and I think that his drawings are definitely like a huge part of that. Yeah.
I'm still going to latch on to my fave theory about it being post-apocalyptic future. I love that idea.
28 days later.
Yeah, and I'm going to stick with Will. That's my gut instinct for a while. But I also would not be surprised if it was a simple El did it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to hang on to hope.
Hang on, it's actually Will this whole time, and he's just yeah. We'd love to know your guys' theories on what the Upside Down is. I hope you didn't actually think that we were going to fully answer this question. This is like theories, because we will not know until end of season 5, I believe.
Will we know then?
Will we know then? Will they leave it on a big cliffhanger? That is the question. Probably, because they like to torture us.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'd love to hear your guys' theories. And like I said, this is going to be up every Saturday, so feel free to turn on notifications so that you know when this is coming, and also follow us on Twitter and Instagram so that you can see all the things and posting and progress and preparing for all the podcasts. And if there's any subjects that you actually want us to cover that you're thinking that would be quite good to have a discussion about, then let us know as well. But thank you for watching the first episode. We hope that you enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.
I had fun just talking about Stranger Things for a really long time. So, yeah, I mean, this is just what I want to do forever. So I hope you guys liked it. All the information and everything will be in the description, and all the places that you can find the podcast and also find us, if you would like to, are in the description as well. We are planning on putting this on some places where you can just listen to it rather than watching it, although obviously YouTube is just where you can watch, but that will be all in the description. Hope you guys are doing well, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.